guys. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whenever it is you're watching this video, welcome to another episode of the Act of God's Captive. Into Call of the Captive's Diary, episode 16, season finale. Written by Precious Chinwe Obialor-Ukazim. Alright, let's get into today's episode. As we continue, whoosh. Right, so honestly, I haven't really thought about it that much, but I'm learning now from this platform, and I definitely plan to practice whatever I'm taught here when the time comes. Nemeka said, feeling bashful and Chizam smiled. Fair enough, Nemeka. We're glad to have you learning already, she said, smiling. Chizam's smile lingered for a moment as she waited for her husband to say something. Then Nnamdi cleared his throat gently. His expression is warm with a smile too, but his voice carried weight. I want to commend every one of you for what you shared honestly. Or share. Honestly, it's refreshing to hear young people like you speak intentionally about prayer, fellowship, Bible study, and character growth. Praying together, studying the word together, holding each other accountable spiritually, these are beautiful practices. Not many cotton young couple are intentional about their spiritual lives, and I applaud you all for that. It shows hunger for God and a desire to build a relationship on a solid foundation. These are not small things, and you deserve our applause for them. He said, then paused and nodded approvingly, obviously impressed. But let me add something important, something we cannot afford to skip, because love does not keep silent when danger is near. He continued, and they were quiet, anxious to hear what he had to say. Listen to me, all of you. Spiritual activities alone do not automatically mean spiritual health or growth. You can pray together in the open and still be wounding each other in secret. You can study the Bible together and yet be tearing down what you're trying to build if there is sexual compromise behind closed doors. The room grew quieter as he spoke, his voice calm but firm. If two people claim to be helping each other grow spiritually, yet in private they are engaging in sexual compromise, in inappropriate touches, kisses, sexual conversations, sex chats, or anything that stirs desire that God has reserved for marriage, then they are undoing in secret what they are building in public. He continued, and Chizaram nodded in agreement. You see, this is where many sincere and offending couples deceive themselves. They say, but we pray together, but we read the Bible together, but we go to church. Yes, those are good activities, but obedience matters as much as spiritual activities. You cannot nurture spiritual intimacy while awakening physical intimacy prematurely and expect no consequences. Engaging in inappropriate touches, kissing, sexual conversations, or sex chats may seem small or manageable, but they are not harmless. Every act of sexual intimacy outside of God's time awakens your spiritual sensitivity. It dulls your conscience, confuses your discernment, and slowly turns spiritual exercises into rituals rather than true encounters with God. He said, looking into screen carefully to be sure they are listening. He stood firm but fatherly. Sexual compromise does not only affect the body, it weakens spiritual sensitivity. It weakens over time. Over time, prayer becomes harder, guilt replaces peace, conviction becomes uncomfortable, and you even start avoiding accountability, not because you don't love God, but because compromise makes honesty difficult. Please understand this. You cannot claim to be helping each other grow spiritually while simultaneously awakening desires that God clearly reserved for marriage. That is not help, but that is not growth. That is spiritual sabotage. Sabotage, done unintentionally but still destructive. True spiritual growth in courtship or any relationship includes restraint. It includes guarding each other's purity, protecting one another's hearts, and refusing situations that stares what you are not yet permitted to satisfy. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do for each other is to say, let's stop here. this is not right, let's not do this, let's set boundaries, or let's not be alone in this place in this way. If you truly love each other, you will not only pray together, you will protect each other. Excuse me. You will not only study the word together, you will obey that what the word teaches. Spiritual intimacy must never be used to excuse physical intimacy before its time. Don't destroy each other in secret while claiming spiritual growth in the open. I'm not saying this to condemn you or because I'm suspecting you, but to preserve you. What you're building is too precious to be destroyed in secret. Guard it so well so that when you finally step into marriage, you do so with joy, clarity, and a clear conscience before God and men. Are you hearing me? He said, and they nodded in the affirmative. Yes, sir, they answered, nodding their heads. And Sarita, he continued, focusing on, I'm impressed by your testimony of how Junior has influenced your work with God positively. But remember, the spiritual influence does not give anyone access to your body. For instance, one way you can help Junior grow spiritually and morally too is by telling him no if he ever asks for sex before marriage. Stop it. If he ever tries to touch you in an inappropriate manner, you must call him to order and let him know that it is wrong. Do not allow him access to your body simply because he once influenced you positively in your walk with God. If he influenced your spiritual life yesterday, but today wants to kiss you, touch your breast, or ask you for your new pictures or video, then he is no longer helping you. He is destroying not only you, but also what he taught you. Also putting your soul at risk. Love that leads you away from holiness is no longer love. It is temptation and destruction It is temptation and destruction dressed in affection. Did you hear me? He asked, looking intently at Sarita. Yes, sir, she replied, nodding in the affirmative. Good. And don't hesitate to trying hard not to say a word as he was having the urge to assure his father that he would never do with him like that. But seeing that he was addressing something serious, he held himself from talking. The same counsel goes to you, David and Uma Snatching. Since you are already cutting, you must see yourselves as keepers of each other's purity, not threats to it. Help each other say no to sexual sin, set clear boundaries, avoid situations that stir up the flesh, and hold each other accountable in prayer and honesty. When desire arises, let one of you be strong enough to say no. Let us stop here. Let's not do this. When weaknesses shows up, let the other be bold enough to remind the weak one. Our future and our walk with God matters more than this moment. Courtship is not a license to sin. It's a training ground for discipline, respect, and self-control. If you cannot help each other get closer to God now, you will struggle to lead each other to him in marriage. Unamdi concluded softly but firmly, and they nodded in response, digesting everything he said. Thank you very much, Desire. Chizam appreciated her husband for that timely counsel he had just dished out to them. Now, with that foundation clarified, does anyone have a question before we move on to another important area? Oof, sorry. She asked them, and after a brief silence, Sarita spoke up. I want to ask a question, she said, and they gave her the go ahead. Okay, speaking about kisses, I want to know, is a quick peck on the cheek by friends or a kiss on the forehead inappropriate? Sarita asked. So Sarita is throwing the question down to the lovely audience. A kiss on the cheek by a friend and a peck, or should I say peck, on the forehead, is it inappropriate? Because we can hear a lot of things, yeah, about these kisses. Yeah, they say we have different type of kisses and everything. Now some people will say, oh, I just kissed her on the peck her on the lips. Now it's not a deep kiss, so it doesn't mean, oh, I just kissed her on the forehead. It's not a kiss, it doesn't mean, it's just a peck. I just kissed her here, you know. So I'm asking for your own opinion now. Does this kisses, this peck on the forehead, yeah, does he have is it inappropriate? Is it wrong, or is it right, or it's normal? It doesn't mean anything. Your contributions will help us grow a lot better. Thank you very much for listening, and have a beautiful and good day. Bye bye.